student with the highest GPA. This year's honor is achieved by Avery Hunt. Avery will be attending Whitworth University, studying international business. Please welcome Ms. Avery Hunt, Valedictorian.
In living 6 years together, you get to know people. You get to know their beliefs, worries, and passions, and you teach them yours. For us, fortunately, the path to friendship was fairly smooth. Though some were lost, I count myself ridiculously blessed to be part of this class. It seems rather funny now to contemplate the first day of 7th grade, where I tearfully braved my first plunge into that delightful storm of humanity that was the hallway. I regret that I was not given the chance to walk that same hallway as a senior, but there must be times of tradition and times of change. We 7, along with our comrade Austin, were placed in a time of change. Justin Hansen took to this change easily. Justin is a straight-up, confident person who writes the narrative to form around him, rather than waiting for himself to fit the narrative. His honesty and reliable ruthlessness served to mull in our classroom discussions and debates, as well as in life itself. In fact, I must now thank both Justin and Maria for their tireless insistence in improving my discussion grades by disagreeing with everything I said. Speaking of which, Maria Palmer, our resident poet, has represented us at the poem recitation contest, Poetry Out Loud, both in Boise and Washington, D.C. Maria is a very philosophical person, and her thoughts on theology, literature, and life have proved invaluable to the class. She can delve deeply into many issues and can tie many different topics together. She is a good balance between deep thoughts and concepts and ridiculous jokes and puns, and she adds an excellent dimension to our class. Chad Huscraft has been, for many years now, our fearless leader, both as class ambassador and as president of student government. Chad's skills of quiet leadership have helped our class and our school succeed. Chad is a very hard worker, not only holding leadership roles in student governments and robotics, but also taking calculus and physics, classes none of the rest of us took. Chad is a trusted friend of everyone in the class, as well as many of the younger students. And Chad has worked harder than anyone to keep us connected during coronavirus. Grace Bailey, too, is part of student government, having held the positions of class ambassador and vice president. And her soccer team at Charter are 4-time state champions. She is most certainly the responsible one of the class, who tries to keep the rest of us on task. Grace is quiet in a good way, where she doesn't fill the air with talk, but does speak up when something needs to be said. She's got the talent of seeing through endless back and forth arguments and summing up the heart of an issue. Grace would be an excellent person to be stranded on an island with. She's smart, hardworking, and great to be around. Isaiah Hill, salutatorian and treasurer of student government, has a mind unlike anyone else I've ever met. He is able to grasp and apply complex concepts before the rest of us have even managed to find our pencils. He's always willing to help out mere mortals with homework questions. And he very freely shares what he's learned. Not only that, but Isaiah has put a lot of his time and effort into building a relationship with Jesus, which the rest of us have watched and learned from. Levi Hostley is this year's class ambassador and the heart of the class. He is the first one to offer any sort of help to fellow students or to adults. Levi puts the needs of both the class as a whole and the needs of all the members of our class before his own. Levi is always ready to give his time and energy to the younger grades and play and roughhouse with the little kids. And he has also been involved in Civil Air Patrol for the past 2 years. Levi is the vital kind factor in our class. Last, but certainly not least, is Austin Paul. Austin is not graduating with us, having attended a different school for his senior year, but he has remained part of our class. Should you take the time to listen to Austin, you'll find that he is the funniest person in the class. His quiet one-liners are the stuff of legend. He is a diligent and super smart student who still has the patience to put up with us, even though he's no longer forced to. Austin is someone we are proud to claim as our classmate. But not one of us would be where we are now without our amazing teachers. They have been the ones to guide us through the last 6 years of our life. They have taught us not only important academic knowledge, but also how to live our lives well and for God, both by telling us and showing us. Thanks to each and every one of you. As in the frequently quoted verse, Proverbs 3:5-6, trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not on your own understanding. In all your ways acknowledge him, and he will direct your paths. We were given the opportunity to study at this school, where acknowledging God is built into the school day, and leaning purely on our own understanding is discouraged. God is at the center of our teachers' lives, and they have worked at and succeeded in instilling in us a love and reverence for the Lord. I pray that we will each keep these lessons as we make our way into the world, that we will let God direct our path into the future. Now, this class dislikes cliches, but no commencement speech would be complete without a few. We were the senior class through a great many changes to the school and to the world. But not very long from now, it will not be that the changes affect us, but that we effect the changes. We are leaving this school with a set of tools gathered from our education, and what we do with them is up to us. If we choose to be those who run the future, we can. I know that as God directs the path of this class, that we will be well equipped to go wherever he sends us and to institute whatever changes or advancements he wishes to make with us in the world and his kingdom. May each and every one of us take our skills and knowledge that we have learned here and humbly use them for the glory of God in any of the many paths he may choose for us. Thank you.
Thank you, Avery. Seniors, faculty and administration, board, parents, families. Each year, it's an honor to have a commencement address presented by someone who deeply understands and is aware of the value of classical Christian education. At a time when our nation continues to slip further away from God and our very foundation of Judeo-Christian values are eroding before us, it is essential that we continue the good fight to train and equip and send out our graduates so that they can serve Christ with distinction. Tonight we have the honor of our senior class being challenged and encouraged by Mr. Frank Peretti. Mr. Peretti is a best-selling author with more than 15 million novels in print, including his especially popular works, This Present Darkness, Piercing the Darkness, which, with their tales of spiritual warfare, continue to captivate readers for several decades since their publication in the 1980s. In all, Frank has penned over 25 books for audiences of varying ages. The Copper Kids Adventure series. In 2000, he released his first nonfiction book, The Wounded Spirit, which dealt with the problem of bullying. Please join me in welcoming Mr. Frank Peretti.
Well, hi again. I'm
met them earlier back there in the room. Oh, Gil, I'm so proud of you. It's just cool seeing that. You know, I'm 69 and a half now. That means I'm going to be 70 in 6 months. Yeah, it's been a long time. Yeah. One thing I want to point out to you, this is kind of where I am in my life, and I'm thinking, wow, and you feel it so much, the sense that, wow, we are handing off to you. Like, I'm Elijah, and you're all the Elishas. I'm Obi-Wan Kenobi, and you're all the Luke Skywalker. I'm doing that now I wrote all these books and everything, and I'm always trying to find out what to do and what the Lord wants me to do, and then the Lord brings these other young writers to me, and I start teaching them. I end up being the wise old man. I look in the mirror, you're the wise old man. The reflection comes back and says, I guess being a wise old man of the Obi-Wan Kenobi, you don't remember Kung Fu. How do I remember Kung Fu, the old Western, you know? Yeah, the bald-headed master, you know, teaching the young grasshopper. Anyway. One of my students calls himself Grasshopper. It tells us how old we are. I remember, though, that there's this movie, Dances with Wolves. Have you seen that? With Kevin Costner. Have you seen that? Have you seen that? You haven't seen that? It was made before you were born, I think. Well, Kevin Costner plays this guy in the army back in the 1800s. He goes out to the frontier. He wants to see the frontier. He's stationed out there, and he meets these Indians out there, Sioux Indians, and the Sioux are kind of looking at him, and they're spying on him, and they're all upset about him. So they come back to the big council of the tribe in the TV, you know. And here's the young guy. Wind in his hair is the name of the guy. You know, big, long. And he's a warrior. He's just full of testosterone. And he says, we need to go out there and find out what he wants. We're going to kill him. I think there's going to be a war. And he's just ready to go and have a big battle. And there's another guy, he's kind of saying, well, I don't know what he's doing here. There might be other ones. What's going on? I think he's lost. They're going back and forth. All this stuff going on. Then there's 10 bears. 10 bears, the white-haired, wise man of the tribe. He sits there, listens to all this stuff. Then he finally says to Wind in his hair, he says, I want you to go down and see this man and find out what he wants. And he says, well, okay, and then he points to the medicine man of the tribe. He says, and you are to go with him. And that's all I have to say. And what was interesting about that scene was, here's all this going on. And here's the wise old man just sitting there saying, here's what we're going to do. Now, it's the wise old man. He's lived a long time. He's been there. He's done that. He's got a closet full of T-shirts. You know, it's all there. And what I'm trying to point out, here's where I'm going with this. There is a key difference between a short-term perspective and a long-term perspective. And when you're around 18 years old, I gotta be honest with you, it's short. I'm not talking down to you. I'm just saying. Here's one thing you gotta keep in mind, and this is what I'm gonna be talking about in the middle of this thing. I'm talking here. The longer you live, are you ready? The more history you are going to have. It's kind of like when you're 5. You've only got 5 years of history. And it's pretty innocent, it's pretty nice, and pretty fun. You watch it up there. When you're 18, you got 18 years of history. Oh boy, are you in for the rest? Yeah, you're in for the rest. I'll give you a few examples. I had a friend who taught me how to play the banjo years and years ago, and he was kind of my hero, and he taught nice guy, and then he ran off with another woman. You know, he just kind of two-timed on his wife, ran off with another woman. I didn't see him for years and years and years. I think it was just like 2 years ago, I saw him again, and he's, you know, white-haired and elderly, and he's still playing the banjo, and we jammed and had a great time, and we're talking away, and he says, yeah, I left my wife for another woman. Then he says, don't ever do that! Now that is the difference between a short-term perspective and a long-term. In the short term, oh, I'm going to go out with this other woman. She's really hot. In the long term, don't ever do that. In the short term, you run into stuff, oh, you heard premarital sex or driving drunk or abusing your credit card, you know. And in the short term, you just jump off and you do things because you don't have a history that tells you how stupid you are. And so you go off and you do something, and you say, you know, you can blame God too if you want to. You know, how did you let this happen? That's the short-term perspective. The long-term perspective is, you should have thought of that before. I was doing a little talk. I'm not going to go into the whole thing, but I remember I may have done it here 3 years ago. I talked to the girls, and I basically was telling them, don't marry a jerk. To yourself, your family, your church, your pastor, the whole body of Christ, and actually the rest of the world, a big favor, don't marry a jerk. I was talking about that at another gathering, and there was a lady sitting in the front, right in front of me. She's about 80 years old. I said, don't marry a jerk. And she says, well, now you tell me. Short term, long term. That's how it works. Okay, so I'm going to develop that. Okay. Proverbs 22:3 says, the prudent sees danger and hides himself, but the simple go on and suffer for it. I call that the Titanic syndrome. You know, the story of the Titanic. Now, that was before you were born, too. But you find a lot of that in the world today. And you know that. It's the idea of, well, we're just going to keep sailing on. We're going to be fine. We've had ice warnings, and we're firing up the boilers, and it's pitch black outside, and the sea is like glass, and we can't see waves breaking against an iceberg, and this crow's nest doesn't even have a pair of binoculars, and we don't have enough lifeboats, but that's okay. We're going to just keep going. They didn't think about it. And then when they hit the iceberg, when they hit the iceberg, oh no, what are we going to do? Our country is like that right now. We're cruising along, we're doing this, we're doing that, we're throwing out the laws of God, we're doing whatever we want, with whoever we want, we just we don't care. We're kicking the can down the road. We've heard that expression a lot. We're going to hit the iceberg. And then people are going to be saying, oh, what are we going to do? I don't want you hitting an iceberg. If you see danger coming, you start dealing with it. Don't push it off. Don't, it's like a friend of mine who just would not give up smoking and would not give up smoking and would not give it. I felt like I may still have this conversation with him now. You know, John, just check with me. I got to make sure that have I, as your friend, ever told you to quit smoking? I just want to make sure I've done that because I don't want you to die of lung cancer or emphysema and lying in the hospital with tubes up your nose while your kids watch you take your last breath. And I never said anything. Because what I got from John all the time was, well, I go up and I hike in the mountains and I'm doing okay and I don't have any trouble and my lungs are great. It's going to hit him one of these days. It almost did once. Because he had a spot on his lung, and he was all concerned. He was crying, oh, what am I going to do? And then when it turned out it wasn't serious, he went right back to smoking again. I understand the addiction of nicotine. I'm using this as an illustration. It's easy to walk through life. As the Bible says, the prudent sees danger and he hides himself, but the simple go on and suffer for it. 70, you learn some things to be very true in a practical sense. Number one, always be honest. Always be honest. The man of integrity walks securely. You're not always having to go back and patch up things and change your story and hide things to make sure nobody finds out, because you've always been walking honestly in the first place. Second, be generous, and the Lord will be generous with you. And so I've really enjoyed that all my life, just being generous, because the Lord really does that. You never heard Dave Ramsey talk about this. You have a hand that's like a fist, and you hang on to your money, and it disappears. You have a hand that's open, and the Lord blesses you, and the money just goes through. And you bless other people, and you know what? The Lord just keeps putting more money in there because He knows you're going to be a channel of blessing. It works that way, and that's biblical. Being a real man, oh yeah. I talked a lot about to the girls, don't marry a jerk. I had an opportunity, a few years, several years now, because he's grown up and married. I don't know what came over me. I guess I waxed prophetic or something. I was sitting with some friends, and we were talking about another friend of ours and the big old problem he'd gotten into, because he was two-timing on his wife. He was messing around, and he was getting into all this other stuff, and somehow they were facing a divorce, and what are they going to do with the kids? I mean, just the whole thing. And there was young Penn sitting there. He was 12, wasn't much older than that. And he's listening to all that, and I just looked at Penn and I said, Penn, are you hearing this? Are you listening to this? And I said, Penn, you take a lesson from this and you learn good. The measure of a man is not in the tightness of his jeans or the bigness of his muscles or anything else. The measure of a man is how he treats his woman. The measure of a man is how he keeps his promises. The measure of a man is how he can be trusted. How he takes care of his wife, he takes care of his kids, and whatever he says, that's good. I don't know, I said a whole lot of other things. I was really good. But, and Penn said, yeah, I hear you. And afterward, his mom and dad said, oh, Frank, we're so glad you said that. We were wanting to say that, but couldn't quite get around figuring out how to say it to our son. I'm just glad he heard it from somebody else. You can always trust God, even when your prayers aren't answered the way you think. You're going to go through your whole life, and you're going to pray for all kinds of things, and you're not always going to get the answer you want. The Lord always has a better answer. It's best to trust Him. I taught writing, I guess I still do. We talk a lot about the hero. Well, what makes a hero in a story? There's a lot of writers don't know what a hero is. They write about somebody, but somebody just kind of sits there. I've read a lot of Poor Me manuscripts where the whole story is about some supposed hero just sitting there getting beat up on by demons or bad guys or whatever. You know, I try to teach a class, and I said, listen, the first element you want for a hero, you want someone you can root for. You can't have a hero that you can root for if the hero just sits there. The hero has to get to a point in the story where something happens that forces them or compels them or changes their mind, and they pick up the challenge and they go after it, and then you know what the story's about, and you know who to root for. I hope he succeeds. Every good story has four elements. Number one, the hero. What does he want? Number two, why does he want it? What's going to happen if he doesn't get it? And who's going to try to keep him from getting it? You're going to come to a point in your life, you're kind of there now. Of course, you ain't seen nothing yet. You're at that hero's point there. You've been working towards something. Now life is facing you right in the old eyes. Now comes the time when you have to start making hero's decisions. I want to encourage you, do not just sit there waiting for somebody else to make up your mind for you, or waiting for you. Just make up your mind you're going to be a hero. You're always going to have opposition, because there's always a villain. But that's life. Now, Dr. Ray Vath had three little sayings he did, which I've always kept with me. And I want you to apply these. Number one, you need to write failure into your plans. Because Ray Vath says, and this is true, I've kept this, he says, you know what, you have to fail in at least half the things you try, or you'll never know what you're capable of. If you fail, it means you tried. If you never fail, it's because you never tried. I've had plenty of failures in my life. Let's see, I tried being a banjo maker and I failed at that. I tried being a musician and I failed at that. I tried to get into motion pictures and I failed at that. I tried to have a construction business and I failed at that. You know what? I was finding all kinds of things I was really capable of. In a roundabout sort of way. I remember I wanted to go into film, but I didn't have the money to do it. I didn't have a camera and I didn't have a production company, but I did have a typewriter. And as a matter of fact, I was working at the University Research Library in UCLA, and there was a gal walking by. She had a whole stack of old form letters from the library. You're overdue on your book, or something like that. And she was just going to throw them out. And I realized, you know, all that paper has one blank sign on it. I'll take it. So I took that paper home, and then I went up to my home in Vashon, near Seattle, and I was living in the parsonage, helping my dad pastor a church, and I didn't have, I was going to go into film, and that didn't work out, and I didn't have a camera, I didn't have anything else. I had this typewriter. It was a Royal Medallion 2 electric typewriter with a broken left margin. I put a block of wood in there. So you hit the return button, you shoot, boom, it would come up against that block of wood. It only had one left margin, but it never failed. I typed "This Present Darkness" on the back of form letters from the UCLA Research Library, and I worked on it for 5 years. And I got rejected 14 times. But the Lord decided He wanted me to write that book. And so that's a long story, but anyway, it happened. I gotta tell you something real important, and that's the gal I fell in love with. Well, I'm gonna call her Hefzibah. Every time I tell this story, if I use a real name, somebody in the audience has that name, and they're snickering back there, and oh, call her Hefzibah. There's nobody here named Hefzibah. I was 18. I was your age, and I fell head over heels in love with Hefzibah. Oh, we were going to get married, and we were so much in love, and God was going to call us into the ministry, and we had all these wonderful plans, and I was just hearing from God that I was going to marry her. It was just incredible, and God was leading, and she dumped me. And I couldn't get over that. Oh, Lord, how could you make this happen? This was supposed to be, and I had so much trouble with God because He didn't do what I thought He was going to do, and the music didn't play, and the fairy tale didn't come true. We didn't even have a slow motion reunion. I didn't get to do anything, and I couldn't figure that out. And 6 months later, 6 months, I asked sweet Barbara Jean to marry me. That was 50 years ago. We just had our 48th anniversary on the 24th. And I have always carried that little prayer with me. Oh, Lord, thank you that I did not marry Hefzibah. Lord, you're in charge. Oh, Lord, you're the boss. You call the shots from now on. You know what's going on. And you know, I still do that prayer. Whenever I've got a big decision to make or I'm going to be going a certain direction, my prayer is, oh, Lord, don't let me marry Hefzibah. Because sometimes you think, oh, this is what I want to do, and oh, this is what God's leading, and then it doesn't happen. can't figure God out. I think it's very safe to figure he's trying to keep you from marrying Hephzibah. In the short term, maybe you don't see that yet. You got it all figured out until something like that happens, and then, I better figure this out a little more. Your life can go different directions than you expect. The goals you pursue now can lead to other paths you're better suited for that will fit you like a glove. It may not happen that way, but don't be surprised if it does. You have to fail in at least half the things you try, or you'll never know what you're capable of. The second thing Bath says is, practice doesn't make perfect. Practice makes better. Give yourself time to learn something. What is it? If you're a super duper perfectionist and you don't give yourself time and forgiveness and give yourself time to learn something, you're going to get frustrated. Practice doesn't make perfect, it makes better. And that's related to the third thing Dr. Vass says. He says, are you ready? What's worth doing is worth doing poorly. The old saying is what's worth doing is worth doing well. No, he said, no, it's worth doing poorly. When you were first learning to walk, did you get up and run just like an athlete and leap hurdles and come back? Ta-da! No, you fell on your face when you were first learning to walk. When you were first learning a musical instrument, did you play Beethoven or something? No, you went. When I first learned to play the banjo, I played poorly. But I kept playing poorly. So I learned how not to play quite so poorly. When I was writing, I wrote poorly. But it didn't take me long to realize God had led me that way, and it began to click. You'll notice, you know already the things that click. Things you're good at. Yeah, all right. Well, let's see, the Hephzibah was one story. The second one was, I thought I was going to be a musician. Well, I guess I still am, but I wanted to have a big music ministry. You know, be out there, be a Christian music artist. Yeah, we had those back then too. Not like now, but yeah, I did a few gigs too. Got invited to play and sing for some youth groups. Now I know how it feels to be a bomb. I was terrible. I can say that. So I didn't make it as a musician, but then I got invited to go places, and instead of singing, I just started talking. I just started speaking, and it's interesting how the Lord, you start off going one way, and then you think you're going to go this way, and the Lord goes, and He changes your direction, you start going off this way. I became a public speaker, and a camp speaker, and a youth speaker, and I spent 30 years being a public speaker, because I was pretty good at it. And the Lord anointed me there. He led me, I was going one way, went another way. I was going to go into film, I became a novelist. You heard that story already. I need to tell you that the answers never come quickly. They just don't. Maybe some will, but you don't expect it. A lot of times, most of the time, you're going to be seeking God for an answer. You're going to ask God what you need to do. You're going to ask God for wisdom. And most of the time, He won't tell you. A lot of times, He lets you find that out. Now, He keeps you on the road. I have this little picture in my mind. Still use it. The gentle shepherd. I'm one of the sheep, I'm just plodding along. And there up ahead is Jesus, the gentle shepherd. He's walking that way. He's got his shepherd's crook in his hand. So we're following him. There's maybe 2 or 3 times in my life, and without going into detail, I can describe vividly each of those 3 times. when the Good Shepherd actually turned around and looked at me and told me in specific terms what his plans were and what I was to do. The rest of the time, you just follow him. You just follow him. He's a gentle shepherd. He'll get you there. He'll get you there. A big mistake you can make is depending on a specific prophetic word from God to tell you what to do. Most of the time, you're going to get it wrong. Because the gentle shepherd just keeps moving and you just keep following him. That's the exasperating thing about faith. You really have to have it. How do you sum up life, Frank? Well, there's people my age, wise old Indian Obi-Wan Kenobi types. We kind of realize some things. You know what? Even in the Christian life, you win some, you lose some, you keep going. You're going to win some. You're going to lose some. Keep going. The gentle shepherd is leading you. I got a friend, he says, I'll sum it up in 6 words. Plod on, plod on, plod on. He's about the same age as I am. That's kind of fun sitting out on the back porch with older men. Comparing notes, you know. You're not talking about your prostate, you're talking about the things of God, you know. Give to the poor. Just a good practical advice. Give to the poor. Make that a priority in your life. The Lord loves you when you give to the poor. And when you give to the poor, he'll bless you back because he knows you're the kind of person that gives to the poor. Mr. Thompson already talked about making Christ the foundation. Everything's built on him. If you're to build and equip the body of Christ, you make sure the foundation is solidly in place. 1 Corinthians 3:11, no one can lay a foundation other than that which is laid, which is Jesus Christ. Be the house built upon the rock. And I can tell you from my life experience here we go now. You're going to have your goals. You're going to have your dreams. Do not build your life on your goals and dreams. Because they can change. They can change directions. They can fade. They can be interrupted. You're going to meet someone. You're going to want to marry them. And at some point, that's going to change your plans. You're going to try this and try that, and you're going to fail, or you're going to be barred from going that way. It's kind of like in the book of Acts when Paul and his associates were out traveling. We wanted to go into Asia Minor, and the Spirit forbade us. I always wonder, how did the Spirit forbid them? Well, they probably just really felt it in their hearts, but the Lord said, no, don't go there. And then they wanted to go here. No, don't go there. Well, where are we supposed to go? Has that dream from the man in Macedonia. Paul, come over to Macedonia and help us. There it is. Make Jesus Christ the foundation of your life, and just like the scripture says, your plans will be established. There's going to be yeses, there's going to be no's, there's going to be, go ahead, there's going to be, stay back. There's going to be short-term mistakes. Oh, I can't believe I did that. There's going to be short-term triumphs, too. Hey, the Lord was with us. You're going to fail at some things, you're going to succeed at some things, and some things you try are going to lead somewhere else you weren't expecting, something even better. The one thing that will remain steadily under your feet is Christ as your foundation, like a solid rock in the middle of a rushing stream. And as the gray-haired 10 Bears would say, that's all I have to say. Thank you.